Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're going to be checking out the brand new Primal KYOGRE in the Mega Master League. Primal KYOGRE is a pure water-type Pokemon with the moveset of Waterfall, Surf, and the new legacy move of Origin Pulse. This thing, like Primal Groudon, has a massive stat product getting over 6600 CP. I tested it out in practice battles with members of my Discord, and oh my goodness. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out Primal KYOGRE in action in the Mega Master League. Hopping to the first match, and we've got a battle of the Primals, Primal KYOGRE into Primal Groudon. And as you can see, Primal KYOGRE is a very effective countermeasure against the Groudon. Opponent sends in Dialga, and I'm going straight for the new move. Origin Pulse may be resisted, but it still nearly gets Dialga into the red. Primal KYOGRE looking to farm down Dialga. Dialga on very low HP, able to reach a last-second Draco Meteor. Draco Meteor connects, and now I'm going to send in Zacian and go for the aggressive Snarl Down. This way, I do leave with a nice amount of energy. Opponent is going to send back in the Primal Groudon. Groudon going to fire off a Fire Punch, and Fire Punch will hit for some solid damage. I'm going to continue to farm up, send in Dialga, get the farm down. In the back is Dragonite, and the opponent concedes the match. Tough lead in the next match, KYOGRE into Dragonite. I save switch into my Zacian, and unfortunately my opponent has a very good response in Metagross. The good thing is I am baiting out the Metagross, so that way hopefully Dialga will have a better matchup in the back, but still not a great spot for my Zacian to be in. They have very nice counting there, firing off the Meteor Mash before I make it to a second close combat, and now it's time for Primal KYOGRE to farm. They will reach a last second move. I'm going to let this through. Opponent only made it to a Meteor Mash, and that is not going to do a lot of damage. Back in comes the Dragonite, and this may be resisted, but Origin Pulse on Primal KYOGRE does not care about typings. Look at the damage on a Dragonite. In comes Dialga. I'm going to be able to absorb the Dragon Claw. In the back, my opponent has Mega Charizard Y. So we have a true battle of Megas here. Charizard is going to be spamming out these Dragon Claws. I will shield up the first. Honestly, I could have just saved 2 shields for Primal KYOGRE, but out of habit, I shielded a move there. I'm going for the resisted Iron Head. I'm able to grab a shield from the opponent. They continue to farm. I'm going to let this through. Dragon Claw, not going to KO. A Blast Burn would. They go for the Dragon Claw. That's not quite going to KO. I am able to reach the last second Iron Head, and this will be lethal. My opponent is going to commit the final shield. Aggressive switch into KYOGRE. And now, they're basically at 1 HP on the Mega Charizard Y. I tank the Dragon Claw. I farm down the Dragonite and the Mega Charizard, and Primal KYOGRE gets the win. Alright, in the next match, we have Primal KYOGRE into Shadow Ursaluna. Ursaluna does have Thunder Punch, so it can hit for super effective, or it can also hit for high horsepower. High horsepower is neutral, but it will do a lot of damage onto KYOGRE. KYOGRE gets the farm down, opponent sends in Yveltal. I'm going straight for the Origin Pulse. Do they respect the damage? They do not! Yveltal almost gets one shot, and in the back, the opponent has Mega Ampharos. Mega Ampharos getting shredded by the Dragon Breath from Dialga. They fire off a Dragon Pulse. That does deal a massive amount of damage, and I'm going to return fire here, firing off the Iron Head. Iron Head is going to get a shield from the Ampharos. Ampharos gets farmed down, and that should be game over as Yveltal gets farmed down as well. Bit of a tough lead in the next match, KYOGRE into Giratina Origin. On paper, this is a matchup where KYOGRE should get absolutely smoked, but this is where Primal KYOGRE can turn into an absolute menace. We tank a Shadow Ball, and that doesn't even do half of our health. I farm up to the Origin Pulse. I'm baiting with a Surf. Surf does get a shield from the opponent. Primal KYOGRE continuing to farm. They're going for another move. A Shadow Ball would just about KO here, so I will commit the shield, and they go for the Shadow Ball. I'm farming up. Opponent does make it to an Ominous Wind. Oh my goodness, can Primal KYOGRE hang on here? Ominous Wind, not enough to KO. Primal KYOGRE gets to the Origin Pulse. We're going to have to see, do they commit the second shield? They do not! And that is a water type winning the one shield versus Giratina Origin. That is absolutely insane. Opponent sends in Mega Aggron, I pivot into my Zacian, and unfortunately I'm met with Metagross. So despite the fact that I won the lead with the steel types in the back, things are honestly looking kind of tough for me. I will be sending in Dialga and going for the one shield farm down, but Dialga does struggle quite a bit against Mega Aggron. Mega Aggron, of course, does ditch the rock typing for just a mono steel typing, and that does make it quite difficult for Dialga to deal with. Dialga is able to get the farm down. Opponent is going to send in Mega Aggron. I'm baiting with the Iron Head, desperately needing to grab a shield. Iron Head does get the shield. That's good. I'm farming up here. I may need to go for a catch, but unfortunately my counts were off. I don't get the catch, and this Meteor Beam is going to take me into the red. I will make it to the Draco Meteor, but unfortunately Mega Aggron is just too healthy. Draco Meteor not enough to KO. Primal Kyogre can't make it to a move, and unfortunately Dialga gets farmed down by Mega Aggron. We've got a neutral lead on paper in the next match, Primal Kyogre into Zacian. Zacian, of course, one of the best possible Pokemon that you can use in the Master League, so let's see how it fares going up against Primal Kyogre. First thing right off the bat, Waterfalls are shredding through the Zacian. This thing is already almost into the red, purely off of neutral fast move damage. Play Rough lands, opponent makes it to charge move number 2. I'm gonna let this go. Zacian goes for close combat. It still does not KO, and I'm gonna send in my own Zacian. I am running Snarl, so I don't have a lot of fast move pressure here, but since they lowered their defense, I should be able to shield once and farm all the way down. They go for the Play Rough. They do not want to let me get the farm down, but they send in Mega Gyarados, so whatever they have in back is clearly incredibly weak to fairy types. Mega Gyarados is going to be firing off these Aqua Tails, but an Aqua Tail honestly doesn't threaten Zacian that much. I should be able to farm up a bit more, go for the Play Rough here to grab the KO. We'll have to see what does my opponent have in the back here. Their Zacian basically only good for a catch at this point. Their final Pokemon is revealed to be Yveltal, and that is really unfortunate for my opponent here, as Yveltal does not appreciate going up against Zacian. Play Rough gets the shield. I'm farming up here, going for the switch and the catch onto Primal Kyogre. We get the Surf. Did we get the catch? We did not. I was hoping for the CMP sack. Unfortunately, no luck with regards to that. I'm going to send in the Zacian, force them to fire off a Dark Pulse, and then I'm going to rely on Dialga to finish this game. This is enough for a potential Focus Blast. I will respect it with a shield, and I get baited with the Dark Pulse. That is a bit scary. I'm farming up. Opponent sends in Zacian. It cannot get to a move, and unfortunately, for my opponent, Dialga is going to get this win as Iron Head gets the KO. Hopping into the next match, leading Primal Kyogre into Mega Aggron. Let's see this damage. Waterfalls starting to add up quite a bit on Mega Aggron. Opponent goes for a catch onto Giratina Origin. I'm going to bank an Origin Pulse for later and send in Dialga. Dialga, of course, does have a very favorable matchup here, as these Dragon Breaths absolutely shred through the Giratina. I'm farming up, and I'm going to be firing off the Iron Head here. Iron Head should just about be lethal from this range. Opponent lets it through, and it is enough to KO. Back in comes Mega Aggron. Mega Aggron deciding to throw a move. So Mega Aggron going for the Meteor Beam, wanting to buff up its attack. In comes Primal Kyogre. I'm going for the kill shot, going for the Origin Pulse. Origin Pulse does get shielded by my opponent. Man, I really wanted to see that damage land. Mega Aggron has farmed up some energy here. They're boosted, so I will respect it with a shield. Opponent baits with a Heavy Slam. I'm going to continue to farm, looking for the farm down. In the back, they have Zekrom, and bad news for Zekrom is it's going to get aligned against my Zacian. They can fire off either a Fusion Bolt or a Wild Charge here. Looks like they're running Fusion Bolt. That will do quite a bit of damage, but unfortunately, due to that fairy typing, they're just not going to be able to have a lot of fast move pressure here. So they are throwing so many Dragon Breaths, it's just not doing enough. They do make it to a last second move, but at this point, I can just let Primal Kyogre get this win. Primal Kyogre farms down the Zekrom, farms down Mega Aggron, and that is a good game. Moving into the next match, leading Primal Kyogre into Mewtwo. These Waterfalls absolutely shredding through the Mewtwo, as Mewtwo is already approaching half HP. Mewtwo gonna return fire with the Psy Strike, and Mewtwo, even going up against a Primal Pokemon, is still incredibly deadly. I'm firing off the Surf. Surf is gonna grab a shield from my opponent. They will, of course, be able to outpace me here and make it to another move. I don't think I can quite farm down before they make a third Psy Strike, so I will be forced to fire off the Surf just before they're able to get there. This Surf will, of course, easily KO. My opponent is going to let it through. They send in Mega Gyarados. I pivot into my Zacian, and my opponent is going to respond with their own Zacian, but they're running Quick Attack. And them running Quick Attack does mean, since I'm running Snarl, I'm at a disadvantage in this mirror match. They are farming up a ton of energy. I'm going to let the first move through. My opponent is running Play Rough, and the Play Rough does get me low. I decide to go for the close combat here. Honestly, in hindsight, I probably should have just committed to the play rough. I just wanted to get some damage off, but as you see, that's not enough to KO, and these snarls just do not do a lot of fast move pressure, which you hate to see. I'm going to send in Primal Kyogre. They're able to reach a last second charge move. I'm just going to let this through, trying to trust in Dialga to win this game, but unfortunately, Dialga actually does not do very well going up against Mega Gyarados. At this point, I have to try and call a bait. Opponent knows better. They go straight for the crunch. That just does too much damage. At this point, my only hope is a Hail Mary Draco Meteor onto Mega Gyarados. They do correctly shield it, farm me down, and that's game over. In the next match, leading Primal Kyogre into Shadow Ursaluna. Ursaluna choosing to stay in this matchup. It can, of course, threaten with a Thunder Punch or a high horsepower, but it is paying a heavy price as these waterfalls are tearing it to shreds. They land a Thunder Punch. They're going to send in Mega Gyarados, and that will be answered with Zacian. Zacian, of course, does have a very nice matchup going up against the Mega Gyarados. Mega Gyarados is a bit of a problem for the Primal Kyogre and the Dialga core because I'm running Origin Pulse instead of running Thunder. I'm able to land the Play Rough, which is quite nice. I'm looking to farm up. They make it to another Aqua Tail. This will get me quite low, but I should be able to survive it. I'm able to survive. I'm farming up energy. I probably could have farmed to the back-to-back, but I didn't want to risk it, so I fire off the close combat. That, of course, is going to KO. In comes Giratina. I'm only able to make it to a close combat, but my opponent catches onto Ursaluna, and I actually get value out of my close combat. You love to see it. Unfortunately, my opponent has the Giratina altered in the back, and I have Dialga, and this is just an incredibly dominating matchup for Dialga, especially when shields are in play. My opponent continuing to fire off Dragon Claws, but Dialga just absorbs Dragon Claw after Dragon Claw in this matchup. Going for the Iron Head. Iron Head is going to get shielded. My opponent still trying to get this win, but unfortunately, it's just not looking likely. They try and go for an Ancient Power boost. That's not going to happen either. Dialga gets the farm down and the win. Great lead in the final match, Primal Kyogre into Melmetal. Opponent save switches into Mega Altaria, and even though my waterfalls are resisted here, just look at the damage Primal Kyogre is doing. Oh my goodness, they go for the Moonblast. I'm going for the Origin Pulse. Honestly, this might KO from this range. Opponent is going to respect it with a shield, and I'm going to send in Zacian. To be fair, I could have sent in the Zacian a long time ago, but I just really wanted to see if that Origin Pulse KO'd. Sadly, no such luck. They go for the Sky Attack. That is going to connect. I overfarmed quite a bit, and now I'm going for the Play Rough. Play Rough will easily KO Mega Altaria. We'll have to see. Opponent is going to send back in Melmetal. Melmetal will be going for the Rock Slide, but Rock Slide does not KO here because I am not debuffed. So they fire off the Rock Slide. I am now able to reach the back-to-back close combat, so I'm going to throw the first, and then I'm going to throw one Snarl and go for the second. I throw one Snarl, go for the second. Opponent makes an incredible catch, catching close combat onto Shadow Gardevoir, but bad news for Gardevoir. There's a new king of fast move pressure in town as Primal Kyogre absolutely deletes the Shadow Gardevoir. Back in comes the Melmetal. But unfortunately, even though this is typically a good matchup for Melmetal, they just don't have enough HP here. Superpower does a lot to Dialga, but Dialga is going to be able to hang on. Dialga firing off the Iron Head. Iron Head gets the KO, and that is a good game. And now some final thoughts on Primal Kyogre. Similar to Primal Groudon, this thing is just a force to be reckoned with. The stat product, it's enormous. The moveset, honestly, I'm not 100% sold on Origin Pulse. It does have great damage per energy, but running only mono water type moves does limit you to a certain extent. But overall, whether you end up running the legacy move or not, if you're wanting to try and get a Kyogre for the Master League, it's well worth getting some Mega Energy when it's available, because oh my goodness, this thing absolutely shreds. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.